Hey guys, we're back with the series Hiring and Retaining DJ Staff, and we're on episode 4 in this series called How to Set Up the Interview. And on this episode, we're going to be looking at our different approaches to the interview process. We're not going to drill down on questions just quite yet. That's going to be another episode, but just what does that interview look like? So I'll start and just say that we have a 2-interview process, a step process, I should say. The first is we have one of our GMs, our only GM, I shouldn't say one of them, our GM in Florida, Sean, he kind of qualifies them, pre-qualifies them. If they seem like they are a good fit, then we may, at that point, if we're still not 100% sure, have one of our senior team members also talk to the person, just to get a different perspective. If they pass those 2 hurdles, then they'll talk to me. So as the owner, I feel like I want to be involved in that hiring process so that there's a connection there, because it's at the end of the day, it's like our name's on the door, and I'm responsible. So I want to make sure that I have some skin in the game as well and sign off than just like letting somebody else do that. And we're a small enough business. It's not like we're a Fortune 500 company that we got a whole HR department to screen that stuff. So it's a 2-interview process. The other things I'll say is that we try to keep these things short, 30 to 45 minutes at tops. So we let them know this ahead of time. Although we do schedule it in our calendars for up to an hour, just to give us a little bit of margin. We don't want to be running this thing up to the clock and have another guy waiting outside for us. The third thing is, out of necessity, we don't have an office anymore, and we've let that go. And we do have a warehouse, but that's just not a great place to hold an interview. So we look for places in our area that aren't loud, that are going to be good environments. It may be at a venue or a hotel lobby, someplace like that that has an upscale feel to it. But at the same time, it gives us an opportunity to say, hey, this is one of the venues that we are actually at every weekend, as an example. But what we found through this process, because we just recently got rid of our office, is that it's very disarming. People feel like they can breathe, like it's not this big, stuffy, like I'm going to a corporation trying to have this conversation. It's just a little bit better responses that we're getting through that process. So those are a little bit of our ways that we set up the interview and kind of have it laid out. What about you, Chris? What are some things that you guys do?
Yeah, usually what we'll do is we usually bring them into our office, but we've got like a pretty nice like entry area, and it's where we also have our clients come to. It's a pretty same thing. I want them relaxed, stress-free. It's kind of nice because I got the screen up on the wall, and I can show them some stuff, like different things that we do. As far as like the people that are there at the interview, I'm always there. And depending on the job that we're hiring for, just like you, I might bring in some of our other leaders. So like if we're hiring for a light tech position, I'll either bring in like our head lighting guys, so that way they can kind of also pre-qualify or qualify them, so to speak, and have some questions for them. They can get more technical with them. But at the end of the day, really, when I bring them into the office, I really just want to have a conversation with them.
So important.
I know, yeah. Like I just remember being a pre-DJ world, being in the corporate world. I hated the corporate interview. Tell us your strengths and weaknesses. What's the challenge? Tell us about a challenging spot that you were in and how'd you deal with it, right? All that stuff. So I put some of those in there in our list of questions and stuff during the interview. But for the most part, I just want to have a conversation. I want to talk with them. I want it to be informal and not so corporate, and just get a good feel. I want to get a good feel. And I don't know if this is good or bad, but a lot of our interviewing process for me is like about gut feelings, right? And just trying to get more down to an emotional level with them. And are they going to be a good fit? Not just with the job. I think most of the guys that we try to screen well enough that their skill levels hopefully are where they need to be, so they can either be trained by us or they just come in and not have to be trained, but more like, are they a good fit like with our culture,
Right.
That's why I like to bring some of our other guys in too.
Totally. How long are your interviews? Are they typically like 20, 30 minutes? Like how do you evaluate that?
I'd say, in all honesty, they're about the same as you. I'd say we roughly on average about a half hour, 45 minutes.
Yeah.
I try to keep it short and sweet, although I can sit there and talk for forever sometimes.
Yeah, totally. I will say this too, sometimes, it's good not to just prejudge a candidate when they walk up. we recently had a situation where we had a candidate who had piercings and had like a mohawk and all this stuff, and our GM looked at the guy and just was like, oh man, how can I get out of this interview? This guy's not a fit. And as they started talking, and to your point, we definitely try to keep it as conversational as possible, and more about like trying to just get a sense of their personality, not like little check boxes per se. And and one of the questions that we finally got to was like, hey, listen, obviously you've applied to this job and you know that we're doing like private event work. Look is important. How willing are you to bend with that and kind of adhere to what we need you to kind of look like to be bookable, and then also to be presentable to the staff. And, we just have a reputation out there. And this guy was totally on board with that. He's like, I'm willing to do whatever it takes. And it just told us like, gosh, if we would have cut this guy off after 5 minutes and not had that conversation. Now we just recently, are taking him into the the second interview phase. So I don't know if he'll get through, but he never would have even gotten that far if we would have just written him off. So making sure
it's the old never judge a book by its cover.
Right. So I think it's always good to go through the entire 20, 30 minutes, because you just never know what kind of gold might still be there, instead of just like on looks alone, or, the first question kind of stopping the interview cold,
Right. Absolutely.
So, awesome, guys. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in. We'll be back with some more episodes on this particular series of hiring and retaining DJ staff. Thanks so much, Chris. We'll see you soon.
Thanks, Brian.